Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Visionary Magazine. This is your host, Majid. Hope you're all doing well and I hope you're all safe. Today, we're coming with a very special interview. Today, we'll be interviewing an esteemed Saudi fashion designer by the name of Lulu Al-Hasan. She is a shoe designer who started off designing shoes for many other brands. She then founded her own brand last year. She's also the host of Design, which is a show on SBC TV that covers Saudi Arabian fashion designers, and she's now in her second season where it is a competition between different interior designers. So it's a very interesting project. And she does a lot of other stuff as well. So today we'll be talking to her about how she got started in her field, the different things she's gone through along her journey, the different projects she started, the fashion industry in Saudi Arabia, and much more. So without further ado, let's get this started.
Hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Is everything clear?
Yep.
Great. Welcome. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, all is well.
That's good. That's good. So where are you talking to us? You're talking to us from Jeddah?
La Riyadh.
That's good. How's life in Jeddah right now with the pandemic and everything going on?
I'm in Riyadh. I'm originally
okay.
from Jeddah, but I'm living in Riyadh.
Oh, okay.
So far, we're back in lockdown for another 20 days. But people can gather, can go out with a limited number. But the restaurants, all the public places is just closed.
Right. Yeah. Inshallah, things go back to normal soon.
It will, inshallah.
Yeah,
we hope
inshallah.
so.
So to start this off, for those who might not be familiar with the work you do, could you kind of tell us, give us an introduction about yourself and what you do?
Well, I do a lot of things, so
yeah.
It depends. I'm a shoe designer, and I'm also an artist and a TV host for a program that is called Design. It's specified for designers and artists, so it's within my field. And let's start with that.
yeah, definitely. So I want to start with your shoe design, actually. Now you have a background in IT. So I want to ask, how did you get into what's probably the most difficult part of fashion design, which is shoe design? How did you get into that?
I had a passion for it since I was a little, and it was not just only about shoes. I was very interested in the feet, to understand how we walk with such heels, and to understand the industry of the structure of the shoes itself. So it took me a lot of self-taught to read about it, to understand the anatomy, to understand the business behind it before even knowing I was going to be a designer one day. So I used to do that out of passion for shoes and feet, and because I consider feet a very feminine part of the female. And if you don't have the right design, if you don't understand the structure of it, you will never see also the beauty of it. So going to IT, when I finished my master's, I went back and worked, but I had a very distinguished taste in shoes. So I used to hear throughout the years that you should do something with shoes, you should open a business. So I wanted to open a retail store or a concept store that has different brands. That was the initial idea.
Okay.
And then again, I was like, well, in order for me to also open it and operate it as a business, I need to understand the business from a manufacturer point of view, from a designer point of view. So I went to Italy and I studied shoe designing, but there I got to see that I have the talent to sketch, and I am a designer actually. I should start my own brand, not just open a retail and gather that, brands.
Okay, that's nice. And when you actually put out your first pair of shoes for the world to see and consume, what was the reception like at first?
What was the perception?
How was the reception?
It was in London. That's when I launched my first collection in London Fashion Week. It was really nice, because people the word shoe designer is not a common thing, even outside of Saudi. So imagine a Saudi, a shoe
Exactly.
designer. So that created the buzz, the buzz, and people wanted to come and see, oh, what should she have different? What would it be? And the brand Luvixen, the story behind it is an interesting story. So when people also hear the story behind the brand, they get more excited, and it was really good and nice, successful event.
Okay. And what is the story behind Luvixen?
Well, Luvixen is based on my alter ego. When I hired a brand creative agency in Dubai, um, we were thinking on how would we really place this brand and based on what. So I told them what I want to do is I want females all around the world to show their side that usually they're afraid to show, they're afraid to be judged, because being a woman sometimes, if she's completely herself, sometimes she can be translated that she's flirty or she's trying to be provocative. And I wanted to tell ladies, not just any woman, the ladies, that you can still show that side of you, and you can be still respected, and you can be still classy, but you can be and have that wildness and that sexiness with a classiness. Because there's a thin line between both. So Luvixen was built on my alter ego, which is the alter ego also of every woman, the wild, the provocative, the sexy, the bold. She's very kind, she's very classy. You can see her with all jewels and a feminine look, yet she's eating a burger like a man. She can speak her mind, she can be a woman, she can be a businesswoman, yet with the statement, yet with that piece that she's walking in with, that tells the world that she is a Lou Vixen.
That's amazing. And that also kind of answered my next question, which is what inspired your style? So I want to ask also, now we know kind of what the ethos of your brand is. And I was also going to ask, since you are a Saudi shoe designer and there aren't many out there, do you kind of incorporate Saudi and Arab culture into your ethos?
Definitely. And one of the plans I have actually is to really, right now I'm working on making a workshop here, and it's the first in the kingdom. Actually, I did my first 2 years ago, but now I'm trying to make it more into a deep level, into a pattern making course, and into making an actual shoes, to educate them, to put them in their mind that you can do shoes, you can do everything you want. And I want to also put something in the region that is not the norm, something new. And it's not easy. And I want to educate a whole new generation to start something like that.
Okay, that's great.
I don't know if
That's
that
great.
was your question, was it?
I mean, a little bit kind of, but I also meant in the design itself, like in the shoe itself. When it comes to designing the shoe itself, do you incorporate anything from Arab culture
You
or
usually I
Saudi
get
culture?
inspired by different things. Sometimes it's my culture, sometimes it's other cultures, sometimes it's an element, sometimes it's an emotion. I really use my five senses to when it comes to designing. I'm in
Okay,
a different world. So I can hear a song of Michael Jackson and I can skip something that inspired me from that beat.
okay,
So I'm not limiting myself with anything, and I don't want to label Lou Vixen under any culture. She's whatever she wants to be. It depends what's the inspiration that she got, and it depends also on the collection and the trends in the market when it comes to a business perspective.
okay. And what is your favorite creation of yours so far and why?
A coming collaboration that I've been working on for the past year. And it wasn't easy because with the restriction and I couldn't travel and see the factory, and we had to, adapt many times. The team can't come now to Saudi with, you just have no idea. And I don't think I can yet say the brand.
Okay.
Um,
What can you tell us
but
about it?
I created a 12 design that is inspired by 12 personalities of women. And each one has a very interesting story. and they will be launched in 52 stores around the Gulf.
Okay.
And well, I don't know what to say and what not to say.
Okay.
But we
No
will
pressure.
launch it in May, so 1 month, actually end of April, so very, very soon.
Okay, then we look forward to
It's
that. Then
gonna be
we'll see the
Ramadan,
recipe when
and
it comes out.
yeah, it's gonna be Ramadan and the summer collection with this brand.
Okay. Okay. Great then. Great. And now I want to talk about your show on SBC Design. So
Okay.
how did that come together?
Actually, it was a coincidence. I kept receiving a lot of calls from SPC, from a producer actually that was working with SPC, and
Okay.
they wanted to do a casting with me. I was never interested to be a presenter. I never saw myself on TV.
Okay.
So I kept rejecting until one day I was having coffee. Absolutely hard. I looked horrible and I was out of gym. And I was like, okay, they called and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this casting. And it worked perfectly. Apparently I had something with camera. It was very natural. And the reason why I like the program it is because it's it's all about design, which is my passion, regardless if it's shoes or not. I get to meet a lot of creative people. I got to put the spotlight on artists and designers because there's not a lot of people, not a lot of program, not a lot of institute here in Saudi that really supports them. And I believe now it's the time where to highlight such talent and such to me their treasure because innovation gets you money. That never money can never buy you innovation or ideas.
True.
So these people can't if you really knew how to get the best out of them, you can get a lot of opportunity with them. So that was one thing. The second thing with this show is they gave me the freedom to not ever prepare for anything. So whenever the camera is on, I remember we rarely repeated any scenes because we
Okay.
put the camera on, and me and my guests we just start talking about whatever.
Okay.
And it was very natural. They used to love it. My guests really felt comfortable, and they always said that this is the first time we really speak with someone who understands us. It's not like a questions that is very away from our personality, away from what we want people to know about us.
Yeah.
So for that reason, we're shooting the second season now, but the second season is about interior designers in Saudi, and it's a competition to compete who's the best and who can get the best, the title of the best interior designer in Saudi. And
Okay.
it's
And
very interesting.
when is it coming out?
It's coming out already. It's every Sunday,
Oh,
9
okay.
p.m.
Okay, great. That's great. And
Actually, today was the sixth episode, so and you
on
can
the
find
sixth
it on.
episode now. All right, for sure, for sure. And
Yeah.
I wanted to ask now, since you brought up, the fact that you're they just put on the camera, nothing is scripted, and obviously, since you and the designer understand yourself, so you kind of know what to ask them. So I want to ask, what would a designer want the world to know about?
A designer wants to know the world. What wants the world to know about how they think, how sometimes the details of their work is done. They want the world to know the value of the art piece they're making. They want the world to know some of the basics or some of the information that maybe the world should know in that particular field of design. For example, I'm a shoe designer. I would love the world to know that you can't just buy any shoes. You really understand. You really need to understand your type of feet. You need to understand your skin tone. You need to understand which height you use. As a man, you need to understand that your left is never like your right. You need to understand also if you have white feet and what's a lot of details. What material is good? I want them to know that sometimes you have a lining that is made out of pig leather and that's never good. That's the reason why sometimes it gets you scented. I know a lot of details and details and details
Yeah.
beyond the prettiness of what you see, because behind that beautiful piece you own there's a lot of story and struggle.
Yeah, of course. Okay, well, that's great. And now I want to talk about your debut in London Fashion Week, which was titled "Stories from Arabia." So, how did that come
Mhm.
together, and how was that experience like?
It's a funny story, actually. I met Jalila. I was in London and I met Jalila many times. I never, like, I don't know her. Every time I go to a restaurant or to a cafe, she's there.
Okay.
So the first time when I saw her, we knew each other because we kept seeing each other for the past few days. So I told her, I keep seeing you and I feel there's a message between me and
Mhm.
you from God, the universe. And I just want to introduce myself. I'm Lulu Al-Hasan and you. She's like, I'm Jalila and I work in fashion. I told her, oh, I'm a shoe designer. And then it started like that. So it was never
Nice.
meant, nobody introduced us to each other. It just happened that way.
That's
And
great.
then I told her I want to launch my brand at some point. I'm still working. That was a year earlier. And when the project came together, I contacted her and told her about Luvixen and how we can really work together into putting that. And she really she worked it out, and she gave me the presentation I was looking for.
Okay, that's great. And when you did that, what was the reception like? Being, you're probably the first Saudi shoe designer to ever
Yes,
debut there. What was the reception like? How were people's reaction? Saudi's reaction, foreigners' reaction. Like, how was that?
it was packed, like packed.
Of
And it
course.
was in Royal Cafe. It's a very luxury place. Literally, we could not breathe, and then the lines was. I have some pictures if you want to see it, and
Yeah, we'll put it
videos
on
to
here
show
definitely.
of that the atmosphere. A lot of questions, and there was also a lot of people who are coming to see the shoe designer, not the shoes she made.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, those exist too. Yeah. Yeah.
The feeds on the designs were really nice. Um, uh, for foreigners actually were very excited because they wanted to understand also the Saudi cultures like shoes and oh you're not wearing hijab and shoes and they're confused and how are you gonna wear it with abayas, but I was like, okay, this has nothing to do with that, but yeah, some of them had a lot of weird questions, to be honest.
They're very curious, I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah. And well, being that this event took place last year, the next question is how are you able to operate like during COVID-19? Because you have been active, I've noticed. So that's something
uh,
interesting to know.
to be honest with you, Majid, COVID came to my benefit.
Okay, that's interesting.
Why is that? Because I just launched in 2020. I just launched like this time, like 17th February last year.
Okay. Okay, nice.
Yeah. So I had a bit of delays with the packaging, with the shoes, with the production, with this is missing, and I wanted to catch the fashion week. So I squeezed myself, and I was so tired. I was so squeezed in 19.
Okay.
So when COVID came, I did my things in a very relaxed way. We worked on the website. The production took its time. Everything took its time,
That's nice.
to evolve. And meanwhile, I was working on other projects as well, collaborations and setting up myself here as an established shoe designer as well. So, but I, if you're talking about nowadays, it started to affect me like nowadays because
Okay.
it took like a year and a half now, for how long we've been in this
Yeah.
pandemic.
Yeah,
So
almost.
I believe it's about time that um, things should really smoothen a bit.
Yeah.
And I'm still thinking of other things and projects or other ways, because online, okay, is happening, but retail is not really doing well, and there is nothing I can say about it or do about it. We just have to face it.
Yeah, that's true. But at least, as you said, it kind of took the pressure off from you for the first year. So, okay, there's some benefit there. And
There's always benefits, always
of
with
course,
pandemics.
yeah.
I believe it's the right time for people to grow and to make business. And I always believe billionaires and big names and big shots, there must be at some points, like the point we're living, where it gave them the opportunity,
Yeah.
to boom.
Yeah, that's where all of them thrive in bad times, ironically. So, yeah. So now I want to ask about the fashion industry in Saudi. Now, in the past few years, with the introduction of Vision 2030, many different industries, especially the creative industries, have been activated or accelerated in Saudi. And fashion is definitely one of those. So, from your perspective, how has the fashion industry changed or evolved in the past few years in Saudi?
Let's talk about the past 2 years. It's really booming because the focus is now on the Saudi and local designers. It's not like it used to be. We used to be, if it's not foreign, if it's not, imported, if it's not well known, nobody really cares.
Yeah.
And I believe it's not just Saudi, it's the whole Gulf, approach.
Yeah.
It's changing. We have a lot of governmental support for fashion designers, for fashion industry. There's a big focus on the culture, which is part of the tourism also, so that we can do things for people who are visiting Saudi to see our culture within fashion as well. And people here, designers here, actually started to understand that it's not just a hobby. It's not just that, okay, I know how to make a abaya, I can be a designer. They're taking it more serious now that they're open to the world, now that they're being compared to names, and the government is really putting and investing in them. They're taking it very serious. So I think in the coming year, it will be a business. It will be also not just a business. Like I can see Saudi having factories producing fashions. One of my dreams is to have a shoe, for example, or leather workshop or factory. So expect a boom in this sector in the coming years.
Okay, definitely. And you being someone who studied fashion abroad and you worked on different projects in other countries, what would you say, like a few things that Saudi needs in order to reach that level that you've seen outside?
You need to really love what you want to do. You really need to have a plan for it as well. And studying is not enough. Learning certain techniques or learning the business is not enough. You need to understand your competitors. You need to understand the innovation behind it. What in the future might come that might destroy you over a day.
Mm-hmm.
You need to also explore. Never just settle for one supplier or one, one side of the business or the idea, because we're talking in general. It can be a furniture designer, it can be a shoe, it can be clothes, it can be electronics. Any business, anything, any innovation you want to get yourself into, you really need to understand it, and you really need to have a passion for it. And as I said, don't lock yourself. Be open.
Okay, well, that would be for like a designer, right? That would be advice like for a designer. But what about like
Not
the
just
industry,
design.
the like I mean the environment? Have you seen anything outside like an external factor, not something of the creative themselves, but it's an external factor, like an institution or something that supported the industry? What do you think like of these things we need in Saudi to have a boom in the fashion industry? Or is there?
It's starting right now. It's actually starting, but it still needs some time, especially that with the shift also with Corona, and with the shift and with the opening we're having, the whole fashion industry is going into ecosystem and sustainability, and it's changing. So we just got into this, and the world is changing about it.
Mhm.
So people here are still adapting and adjusting themselves into, which way should I go?
Yeah.
Investors are questioning, is this going to be the trend in 3 years? The government is also questioning, Do we really have the talent that we can invest in? Do we need to open more schools about it? Do we need to open sections in university? There's a lot of thinking about it, but I see it's happening sooner or later, and in a very fast pace.
Okay.
I just can't really know when. You don't know when, and nobody knows when at this point.
Exactly.
On anything.
Yeah. Then it's just a matter of time then.
It's a matter of time, yeah, definitely.
Definitely. And now I want to ask, where do you see yourself in the next 10 years?
Well, I have two scenarios for that.
Okay.
One scenario, a businesswoman, not just in fashion and shoes, but investing in many startups and working as an entrepreneur in this field. Or the other scenario, retired,
Okay.
having everything I wanted to achieve, and probably thinking of a new passion to enjoy life and make something out of it for the world, something to really give for the world.
Okay. I think when you kind of start creating and you kind of go down that path, I think there's never any going back.
You can never stop.
I think it's only one scenario for you. It's the first scenario. Yeah.
But usually it's life changes, people changes, we change.
That's true.
So I always like to keep some doors open for myself, and both ways I have to reach the goals before that.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Definitely. And I want to end this with a question that we ask everyone that comes on here, which is from the beginning of your journey up until now, what are the 3 most important things you've learned?
I've learned.
Yeah.
Be patient. Trust your timing. That's the first thing. The second thing is I learned a lot of things actually.
Sure, yeah.
But the most only trust yourself.
Okay.
And dreams do come true.
All right, then. That's great. That's important. And is there anything other than the collection you have next month? Is there anything else coming out that we should know?
So far, it's the collection, and it's the workshop I'm working on. It's going to be a good one as well. I'm making an actual workshop here in Riyadh and online. We're preparing for it. So far, this is it. I believe it's enough for the coming period until we know where we're heading with Corona.
Yeah, definitely. All right, then. Best of luck with that. And thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure.
Thanks, Majid.
All right, we'll stay in touch. Take care.
Take care, you too.
Yeah, bye-bye. Okay, everybody, that was Lulu Al-Hasan. Make sure to have the links below the video to her brand and to her Instagram page, to her show as well. Make sure you go check it out and look at the work she does. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Links are going to be below. And subscribe to our newsletter as well for exclusive content and immediate updates on all the new stuff we upload. And take care till I see you next. Peace.